What's up guys, and welcome to another video covering Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In this video I'm going to be explaining to you guys who Aster really is. Now you guys know, if you've played the Delta episode, if you haven't, warning, spoilers ahead. If you have though, we have Zinnia, who is the Lorekeeper of the Draconids. She knows all the secrets on how to save the world, basically by summoning Rayquaza, which she actually does, and then we go and save the world for her, which kind of takes away from her, but you guys get the idea. She has her partner Pokemon, Aster, which is a Whismer. She doesn't use it in battle, it's just sort of her friend Pokemon, like Ash's Pikachu. However, there is hinted, slightly, that Aster isn't necessarily just the Whismer. And I'm here to tell you today, guys, who Aster actually is, or really was. This is going to be a bit of a sad video, guys, so we'll see though, we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to go through like all the facts that sort of lead me to think this, and then we'll sort of make a conclusion towards the end. Okay, so first up, we know that Zinnia, she is, well, in terms of her age, she's older than us, definitely, but she's not that much older. In these games, I think I'd say the hero is about 10, 11, 12. I can't remember how old Brandon or May is supposed to have been set as, but it seems to be about that age. And Zinnia, I would say, is not that age. She's a fair bit older. She's probably like late teens, early 20s, so 18, 19, 20. That age sort of fits there. But she does act very childish, sort of childish, playful, I guess, in some cases, if you guys understand what I mean in that sense. So, for example, when you second time you meet her in Granite Cave, she actually says, "I'll play nice, don't ask first." So she's going to play, she's sort of got a condescending attitude, for example. After you then defeat her, she says, "Nice, real nice. Oh, I really felt that one. Full points to you." Sort of treating you like a child. I mean, you are a child, but you're not really treated like a child much in the games. So maybe a few points, but not particularly. It's not like condescendingly. And then when you're in a more steep space, and she says, "Aha, indeed, it's like that former champ said." She's sort of like praising you for your work, almost. And then finally, when you meet her in Sky Pillar, she says, "Since you've been a good boy." And then after that, she says about her stories that, "At last, right? I know you're thrilled." So it's a really condescending tone. She speaks to you like you're a young child, pretty much. As I'm sure a lot of you out there will understand, that parents do that. Then she also treats Aster very daughter-like. There's a very daughter-like relationship there, or she treats her like, it's a very close relationship between her and her Whismer. For example, in the intro bit of the Delta episode, she says, "Oh, my adorable little Aster," and she says, "Oh, you're just too darn cute like always." And then later on in Littleroot Town, actually, when it seems that Zinnia's almost flirting with you, like saying, "Oh, you're the champion" and such, Whismer's like, "Rrr," and then she's like, "Oh, I know, I'll leave it alone," sort of thing, like getting told off by Whismer sort of thing. So it's a very, I guess, close relationship there, sort of a back and forth, I guess. And then back in Granite Cave again, after you've defeated her, she says, "Yes, ma'am, moving out. Such a spoiled girl you are, Aster." So again, just sort of building on this sort of, back and forth relationship between the two of them. And then the Team Magma hideout, she says, "Oh, what's this? Aren't you a happy girl, Aster?" Like, sort of just speaking to Aster like she's a child as well. And then finally up on Sky Pillar, "Aren't we happy now? Yes, what could be better, dear Aster?" sort of thing. So she speaks to you like you're a child, but she also speaks to her Whismer like she is a child as well. So, you'd assume people would do that more with Pokemon because they are basically children, but you don't see it too much in the Pokemon universe, to be honest. Now, as well as Zinnia having this sort of playful, almost childish attitude, she does get very serious in a few points, and obviously I'll be going over these. The first of these is in the Team Magma hideout after she's defeated Maxie, and she says, "I couldn't become who I was supposed to be, so who does that make me now?" Enough of the introspection and soul searching, so she sort of changes the topic there after having this sort of talk with herself. Now, what exactly is introspection? Introspection is the examination of one's own conscious thoughts and feelings. So basically, introspection is she's thinking about how she feels. She's it's like inspecting your own mind. Introspection, inspection, etc. So she's basically looking inside her own mind, thinking about what she's feeling. But who was she supposed to be, guys? Who was she supposed to be? We'll come back to this later on. But who was Zinnia supposed to be? Is she supposed to be, summoning Rayquaza? Well, she does that though. So, who was Zinnia supposed to be, guys? I don't know. Maybe I do know, but maybe we'll find out a bit later on. Then, when we're at Sky Pillar and she is looking up at the stars, she says, talking about sort of looking at the stars themselves, she says, "When I was so full of uncertainty that I felt my heart might be crushed by it. When I was so grief-stricken and alone, I thought my heart might break of it. I turned and looked up there so that my tears would never ever fall." So she's talking about, using the stars as just a way to sort of keep herself focused and not upset, pretty much. But what part of her life was uncertain? When was she grief-stricken and alone? You know, what's this about, guys? You know, just thinking about that there again. Then again, sort of looking at the stars, continuing looking at these stars, guys. When she's looking at them, she says, "Oh, see that, Aster? You've always wanted to watch them, right?" So, you know, Aster is. I'm pretty damn sure this part is actually talking about Aster the Whismer. Okay, this isn't any sort of secondary part of talking. You know, Aster the actual Whismer has always wanted to see the stars, the Draconids, whatever. She says then. She just wants to say, like, you know, I wish I could watch this be like this all the time, together with Aster. We were always together in good times and in bad. I loved her for everything I had, but I still lost her. So who was Aster? You know, we still don't know. This is just talking about the fact that Aster is dead, pretty much. This is what we're talking about. Aster is dead. She was really close to Zinnia, and look at Zinnia's face in that last one. She's really upset. Who is Aster? We need to know who Aster is, guys. After Rayquaza is then summoned, and you obviously then, you know, battle it and capture it, she then says, "I'm leaving this task to you, our new successor. You will be successor to our long history now." But looking at this, you know, we were told earlier in the episode we met Zinnia's grandmother, who was one of the Draconids. So obviously, Draconid sort of history and whatnot, it's passed down through bloodline. So, you know, Draconid grandmother passed it down to Zinnia's mother. Zinnia's mother passed it down to Zinnia. Surely Zinnia should pass it down to her, you know, her children eventually. But why is she so keen to pass it on to me now rather than continuing to pass it down their bloodline? Again, something to think about. Then another deep issue that happens after you finish the Delta episode, actually, in sort of the ending, the follow-up with Zinnia and her grandmother, where she returns to Meteor Falls. First off, after you actually defeat Rayquaza or Deoxys, she says, I think on the note she says that Aster gives you, says, I think I'll spend some time now trying to find out if it's also possible to forge a new beginning for something once lost. What was lost? Is this Aster she's talking about, possibly? How did she lose Aster? Etc, etc, etc. Then in the prologue section with her grandmother, we see that grandmother says, be done with your burden, let it go now. What was Zinnia's burden? Was Zinnia's burden saving the world with Rayquaza? Is that it really, or is it something else? She then says, we Draconids have seen it in our history, as you have seen it in your own life, how, you know, carrying one burden can really affect you, sort of thing. She says, let down the great burden you have borne so long alone. So again, this word alone, we saw it earlier, we've seen it again now, alone, so Zinnia is alone. And then Zinnia's grandmother goes on to say, so that you might at last take a step forward towards new life. What this says to me is that something happened to Zinnia that sort of she hasn't overcome. She has not accepted it yet. She's been stuck with the task of sort of completing the Draconid, sort of summoning, whatever, saving the world pretty much. And now it's done, she can actually finally go and sort of recover from it and actually come to terms with it, sort of thing. And this is what her new life is about. But now we need to go and talk more about who Aster actually is. There are 3 people in my mind who Aster actually is. Some more common, more likely than the others. But first, before we do that, I want to show you guys something more about Aster herself. We haven't actually talked much about Aster, it's mainly about Zinnia, but here we are, Aster. Now, Whismer. We know what the cry for a Whismer is, don't we, guys? But look, we're gonna, this is Aster throughout most of the Delta episode. We can see her cry is murr, murr. It's murr most of the time, you see, and a couple of times I think it's like murm. So that's a Whismer's cry. However, several times in the Delta episode, she didn't say murr or murm, she says mum. Literally mum. The first one, is in the Granite Cave, which is like mum with a question mark. The second one is again after she's talking to yourself, saying again mum. And then after that we have looking up at the stars. It says actually Aster thinking, rather than saying, it's mum with a question mark. And then finally, this is when they're in Meteor Falls, and again she says mum. Now, what I noticed is most of the time when she actually says this is after Zinnia is thinking about something. You see, the first time in Granite Cave is when she's looking up at the painting, and she's thinking about the history sort of thing. And this is just before you enter the cave, so I guess this is why Aster's then saying, mum, which is. And then the second time is after she's looked at you and says, the ideals you're chasing now, are they based on stuff or whatever? She's going very deep here. And Aster sort of, I guess, brings her back from that, I guess. The third time in the stars is after she's just said she loved Aster very much, but she still lost her. And then Whismer thinks, mum here. And then finally after that is in Meteor Falls again. Zinnia's just in a big process of thought before her grandmother comes along. So that's that there. So, what 2 or 3 things who could Aster have been? Well, my initial thought, because of all these mums, and also, just boosted by this line, is just what I expected my daughter. We're so in sync. Her daughter. Maybe Aster was Zinnia's daughter, okay? Maybe this is, who it was. This is supported by many things. First off, obviously she says here in this exact line, just what I'd expect of my daughter. So, either she's treating Aster as her daughter, or Aster was her daughter, and she's named this Whismer after Aster to help her cope with this grief, I suppose. So she's sort of treating Whismer as a replacement. This is supported, as I said, by many other things earlier. Maybe going back to the introspection sort of topic, maybe who she was supposed to be was a mother, but she couldn't be a mother because Aster died when she was very young. Maybe that's what that's about there. Maybe then obviously talking about grief-stricken uncertainty. Maybe again, because obviously when you lose a child, especially if the child is very young, you're just stuck. You have no idea what to say, what to think, what's going through your mind, whatever. So this might be what's supported by uncertainty, or being grief-stricken and alone. She lost her child, so she's alone. That's a possibility there. And then obviously looking up at the stars. What mother does not want to watch the stars with her daughter, obviously. And then successor-wise, she makes you this new successor. Maybe because her daughter died, so she can't pass it down again. So she's just giving it to you because maybe she doesn't want to have another daughter. Now her daughter died. Maybe some parents lose their children. They don't want to have more children because obviously then it's sort of, you guys get the idea there. So maybe that's why she goes to pass down to you. And then again, when Zinnia's grandmother is talking to her in Meteor Falls, her burden. Maybe she lost her daughter, but then all the stuff with the end of the world basically started coming, so she didn't have time to get to her own daughter's death. She had to go forward and just sort of put that to the back of her mind. And now that her burden and her job is done, she can finally go and grieve her dead daughter, pretty much. However, that's not the only possibility. That was the first possibility that came to mind, especially because Whismer actually says, Mum. Whismer, like, almost when she's talking, so Zinnia says Mum, So, is Aster the Whismer basically just saying, Mum, or as her daughter would, possibly. But then this other line here gave me the idea as actually something else. Zinnia, during her Sky Pillar story, says, one who bears the heavy wishes of those who could not live up to that fate. So she's talking about her job, her duty to save the world. And Zinnia is talking about herself. She is the one who bears the heavy wishes of those who could not live up to that fate. So who could she be sort of carrying the torch on from? Now in Omega and Sapphire, we know Zinnia has a grandmother, but where is Zinnia's mother? Maybe Zinnia's mother recently died, and it then falls to Zinnia to take up the torch and save the world, because Zinnia's mother is dead. And this is what she means here by one who bears the heavy wishes of those who could not live up to that fate. So maybe Aster was Zinnia's mother, and maybe the Whismer being named Aster is just, again, another form of calling it after that, so they're just with you. This doesn't explain why she refers to the Whismer as her child, but I guess it does because it's just a Pokemon. But, if my mother died, I wouldn't name a Pokemon and treat it as my daughter and my mother. So, but it does relate, so, obviously when Aster, the Whismer, scolds Zinnia for almost flirting with us, it does, expect us there, just explain that. And obviously then, when Whismer is saying, Mum, maybe, instead of saying Zinnia, so Mum, maybe it's, especially with a question mark after saying she lost her, Mum with question mark, thinking that maybe, maybe Aster is like, is she talking about her mum, sort of thing? And again, it does explain some other things like the stars, maybe she watched the stars with her mother, and then her mother died, sort of thing. Possible there. But, I don't know. Obviously then, they were talking about grief-stricken alone. Obviously, if your mother dies, you are going to feel alone. Especially because it looks like Zinnia's dad is nowhere near, or whatever. She doesn't have any other siblings or anything. Her grandmother is there, but you're still going to feel pretty alone if your mother dies. So, it either points towards a daughter or a mother. Either Aster is Zinnia's daughter or Aster is Zinnia's mother. There is no, there's no definitive answer on what it says. I think it's left open on purpose. But what do you guys think? Do you think Aster is Zinnia's daughter or was Zinnia's daughter, should we say, or do you think Aster was Zinnia's mother? There are points to explain both sides, but really we don't know. There is obviously the line where she says, you know, just like my daughter, but then again she just could be talking to the fact that she's a Whisper, so we don't really know. But, you know, what do you guys think? Let me know whether you think Aster is Zinnia's mother or Zinnia's daughter. I don't know, I'm going both ways. I really can't make a decision here, because there's no decent facts, I don't know. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section, guys, and let me know what you think of the whole sort of Zinnia story, you know, the fact that her backstory. It's not really explained outright, but it is, as obviously with all the little things I've collected here, it does sort of explain it there. So let me know what you think of all that, guys, down below in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this very hardcore episode. I certainly enjoyed getting all the evidence together. I actually sort of first realised this when I played through the first time. It wasn't even the daughter line that sort of brought my attention to it, as Whisper saying mum. So that's what sort of brought my attention to this, and what got me interested in this sort of little Easter egg, I guess, little references. But that's going to be it for me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully some more of this sort of nature coming soon in the future. Maybe not as big as this, because this is a very nice and very deep story, but certainly more coming in the future where I can think of something to do. But for now, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you give this video a like, because I did work quite a lot, quite hard on this video. I put a lot of effort into it, so if you guys could show your support with a like, that'd be awesome. And as I said, drop a comment down below too. But for now, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friend.